Yep, I knew you would come, Kitty.
Okay.
Because you like being on camera.
So cute. Well, hello there, everybody. This is Ann McDaniels from Show Business Report, and this is one of our very first video interviews, and I have with me the amazingly talented, hilarious, good friend of mine, Lacretia Lyon.
Hello. I hope I get that intro every time.
I hope you do too.
Yeah.
And we should say the lovely, smart, everything. So, and Lacretia, so how did you are from Texas originally, correct? Dallas?
Yep. Actually, I'm originally from Tyler. I came to LA from Dallas, my starter city.
There you go. Yeah. It's a good starter city.
Yeah.
And you used to work for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes, I did.
Very cool. And you were in Jerry's Stadium, all of that.
Yep, in Jerry World, which they have to call AT&T Stadium because they paid $1 billion for that name, but it's always Jerry World.
Very cool. Mm-hmm. And Lacretia and I had always bonded because we were both had worked for the NFL. Mm-hmm. So being a cheerleader, and then she worked for the NFL, huge bonding. But your sole purpose for coming out here, besides the was it Nine Inch Nails concert, was your first time?
My first time to LA was for a Nine Inch Nails concert. I was 20 years old, and Trent said, I'm not going to tour anymore. And I'd seen them a few times, but I'm like, this is special. They're my favorite band. So I'm 20 years old. He did all the tickets himself through his own website to kind of keep down scalping and everything.
Sure.
But sorry, Trent. So I got 2 tickets because you could only buy 2 tickets. And, my half brother was a big fan, but he's kind of a lazy slouch. I knew he wasn't going to pay because he never paid me for my Weezer ticket either. And I was like, well, you can come if you can get your own ticket, or you can buy mine, but I want the money up front. And then, well, I wind up getting a plane ticket coming out here, and he does wind up getting a ticket and everything. But yeah, so I was here. I'd never flown before.
And how old were you?
20.
That's some balls, though.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show. And so when you came here, did you always know kind of deep in your heart you wanted to be in LA, or was that just on a whim?
That part was just like, hey, you know what? And I sold the extra ticket to a Russian girl, made my plane ticket, went home. That was fun. I, had always wanted to be a comedian. But to me, that wasn't really accessible. Even though I'd come out to LA that one time, I never really thought about it. Because I actually liked living in Dallas.
Sure.
And
it's a cushy city and a lot to offer.
And they have cute Canadian hockey players there too. So
yes, we bought over the NHL as well.
Yeah, the Dallas Stars. And that's probably what deterred me from coming back for a few years was the Dallas Stars. I don't want to get too much into that, but it is one of those things that. But once that sort of there was a turning point in my life, just 5 years later almost.
Okay.
And I had done the Miss Texas pageant. I had done, and then I was doing stand-up because I couldn't get a job with this name.
Sure.
And no matter how much education
and folks, again, her name is Lacretia Lyon.
Yeah.
And imagine how that must be for a Caucasian woman. And why Lacretia? Are you named Lacretia?
I'm named after Lucretia Borgia, the first female serial killer.
First female serial killer. Now, folks, why do you think she's in comedy?
Yeah.
It's almost like she was born to be a comedian.
Well, and that is sort of the thing, is even my mom, had to say, because, I did go to college. I have, a master's degree in psychology. I want to be, I had studied serial killers for a while, but then went into sports psychology because it seemed happier.
Same thing. They're all for the kill.
Exactly. It's so yeah, I thought about all sorts of careers, even though comedy was something that had always been there for me. Watching Dennis Leary growing up, I was a big fan of his. My mom would take me to stand-up shows, and his presence. And then, not being able to get a job other than jobs with headshots.
Sure.
With this name, I was like a promo model. My boss was a horror movie actress. She goes, "You want to do comedy? You can just do that here, right?" And she was just very helpful and encouraging and sort of giving me context. And I'm like, really? I'm like, and I'm, was watching Carlin and stuff, taking notes, and then started doing that. And then I'm like, well, wait, no boyfriend, I'm not really doing much here.
Yeah.
Why don't I just go out to LA?
Wonderful. It's almost like you were pushed to do it, but you probably would have eventually.
Yeah.
Now, you kind of act like comedy's easy, and I want to stress that comedy is one of the most difficult aspects of the business. It's easier for people that have a natural, you're good at comedy. We can banter. Some people cannot do that, or they're phenomenal theatrical actors, like drama actors.
Yeah.
But there's a cadence and there's a speed and there are beats at which comedy actors know, and you can be on the fly and you're great at improv. you can make something funny. But back to the fact that you were talking about your boss who loves horror.
Yeah.
This is the reason that I'm wearing today. We both share a huge love of horror movies. My favorite, what is your favorite? I mean, you have a ton.
Well, like, I would say definitely some of my favorites are the Evil Dead franchise.
Okay.
I love Bruce Campbell. I want to name my son after him.
A murderer naming a son after another killer. Okay.
He's not, no, Ash is the hero.
He's a hero. That's a good thing.
Ash is the hero. He's one of the only ones.
Got the genetics.
But yeah, and then I love Friday the 13th Part 6. I know people are like, really? Not the first one? In the Friday the 13th franchise, it actually got better as it went along, except for 5. And then after 6, then it took a big dip. But 6 was sort of the highlight of that. And, you know, hockey mask, like, killing teenagers.
Yes.
Like, I love that stuff.
By the way, didn't the actress get kidnapped on the new Friday the 13th? I just heard that.
No, there's not a new Friday the 13th. Because actually there can't be at this moment. Because there's a lawsuit with Victor Miller, who had wrote the original that... You know, it then became more, so he still thinks he's entitled to some
See,
stuff.
I'm a fan. She's a fan beyond.
Yeah.
I just like the music and the blood and the danger, and it's kind of sexy.
Yeah, I'm like, hopefully that is resolved, because Friday the 13th, when they remade it, it's one of the few remakes that was actually good.
Okay.
And not just because of Jared Padalecki.
Right. Who your son's going to be. No, what's your son's?
Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell.
Okay. I'm like, Jared Padalecki is on Supernatural, which is my favorite show.
See, and you're Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and that's coming back again on Netflix, correct?
I don't know where it's going, because to be honest, as soon as I saw they're redoing Buffy, I just went click.
There you go.
Like, no,
can't
I'm sorry.
The original is the best.
I hope that doesn't happen, because I'm sorry, people, same thing with this Charmed reboot. It's not, like, you want to just use a name and then make it something else. It, like, just, if you wanted to make that same exact thing without the name, would be totally different.
Sure.
But you're just using their name
but because it
as
worked
a stepping
before.
stone.
It's worked before. That's the thing.
And two, even if Joss is involved, do we really think that's a good thing?
Right.
Hashtag me too.
Ha! And speaking of me, hashtag me too, there's a reason, back to our wardrobe.
Oh,
there's a reason Lacretia's wearing. Can you describe what that means, how you got the t-shirt, and what it is?
Oh yeah, so there's a show called Unreal, and it was on Lifetime, but now you can actually watch every episode, including the last one on Hulu.
And it's basically a spoof on The Bachelorette, or The Bachelor.
Yeah, so Unreal, it was from an original Bachelor producer. So a lot of what happens in this show is based on things that really happen on The Bachelor, but it is scripted, and Constance Zimmer is a fucking god. Oh wait, can I cuss on here?
We'll edit that.
Yeah, I'm like, Constance Zimmer is a god. Like, but yeah, like, and Quinn King is my idol. That's the thing is, you know, if I don't make it as a comedian, I want to be a kick butt producer, like Quinn. And like Rachel's sort of journey in it is interesting, but that's why
she's got a lot of issues, addictions, things like that.
Spoiler alert: I don't really enjoy the ending for her. But what's interesting about that show, and like they get these tattoos that say "Money, Dick, Power."
And what does that mean to them, and what does that mean to you?
So yeah, for them it was like, you know, breaking off with their guys, going out on their own. What matters to them, they're gonna fuck like men, you know, blank like men.
Sure.
And they're gonna, you know, do it all for the money and the power, just like men. Right. And that was why this show is interesting. Kind of like with Weeds, is we actually are seeing women be, you know, men in a more positive way, not just about sex. Absolutely. You know, like some of the other shows. And yeah, like just being, you know, more about power and making it.
Sure.
And I did the little after show on AfterBuzz TV for Unreal a few seasons ago. And yeah, they sent us these shirts because this was the year that they did the tattoos.
Sure.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, very cool. And now you, because of being in comedy, it's hard. It's competitive. LA is so competitive, particularly in comedy. So how did you just start and did you just go to an open mic one night? Kind of like on Coyote Ugly, how they just, you know, open mic and that kind of thing?
Well, yeah, so, like, luckily I had a safer space to start out in Dallas, so knowing that, you know, you go and you look and you see where the open mics are. Here in LA, it's called the Comedy Bureau. That's where they put all the mics and everything. But one thing I knew coming from a small place like Dallas is there you could go anywhere. It was fairly safe, and, you know, late night doesn't really matter. But here in LA, I knew, I'm like, I can't go anywhere. And I started in Santa Monica when I first moved here.
Okay.
And so luckily there was a comedy club, and they even gave me a job. I was their promoter.
Great.
So yeah, West Side Comedy in Santa Monica, guys.
But then, but that's hustle.
Yeah.
You could have just gone and done an open mic, and maybe it didn't go so well because your first time it probably went well. But the fact that you hustled, you got a job as a promoter, that is what it takes in this town. You can't just be one thing. And if you are, that's wonderful. But to be multifaceted and you get more jobs and more power and more strength, the more you do. And you probably offered that job and killed it as a promoter.
Yeah.
And then you brought more people in for yourself.
Yeah, and it was a good place around here. Just like Flappers in Burbank is another good one. You want to do, I actually got the great opportunity yesterday to do the Laugh Factory open mic.
That's wonderful.
I never wanted to wait in line. It's always so high.
Yes.
And it's just like hours of sitting outside. But I was doing a podcast at the Laugh Factory yesterday for some friends, and then I met the guy who was hosting the show, and he goes, "Yeah, I'll just put you up." I'm like, I felt there was a friend outside though. I said, "You can't put me up unless you put Mark up, who's been waiting outside all day," and he did.
I love
was like,
that.
That was so nice.
And she wouldn't have gotten that if she hadn't been there. It's all about creating your own, and the fact that you're a good friend. Your friend was out there, and you brought him inside, and that's where you got to make friends in this business for you, and then for business purposes. So congrats. When is that going to be?
Well, it's I just did it yesterday, and it's just an open mic. Open mics are just you try out your material, and then you can sometimes get booked at the club, like Flappers.
But you didn't have to wait in line.
No, I didn't have to wait in line outside and eat. I felt so bad for all those people though. I'm like, it's probably why they.
And tell me your friend bought you some chimichangas when you were done. Yes, without cheese, of course.
No, yeah, I don't do the cheese. Anything else?
I just learned that I brought her snacks today. She doesn't do cheese. A lot of us can't do cheese.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I'm proud of that. And then you, besides the comedy, then you realized you're great on radio, and you worked for AfterBuzz TV.
Yeah, it's funny. I always joke that you can't have a good relationship with your dad and make it in this business of comedy, which I don't in a way, but it is funny. You sort of become your parent, and in the good side though, my dad was in radio.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh my God! When I woke up one day and realized podcasting was radio.
And can I say
you raised your hand?
I raised my hand.
Adorable.
Her dad took her to what was your first concert as a child?
Well, first concert was Spice Girls, but then we went a few months later to Black Sabbath Pantera reunion tour.
But you were only what? How old were you?
10.
10. No, 10. Black Sabbath for a 10-year-old. Daddy
we've
issues?
been listening to them for years.
And they're phenomenal.
Because my dad was a rock DJ.
Yes.
So, yeah.
But some daddy issues in a fun way. Your dad's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was the thing, is it was hard to realize, because as a kid, you do think your dad is cool when he is that guy.
Sure.
But then that guy doesn't really make money or provide for anything.
But that's why she's great at comedy, because it's phenomenal material and the things that you've seen. So while doing that, and then the reason we got together this week is because Lacretia was so kind to showcase me on her Mrs. Brightside podcast. And that is about positivity, glass half full.
I know. It's ironic because my nickname in school was Daria. And, it really took my hero Adam Carolla and listening to him every day. And I always, felt a kindred spirit to him because I grew up poor white trash too, and I like to rant about things and want to make the world a better place. And a lot of people see that as negativity, and it's like, no, that's positivity.
Sure.
And he had a bit, Mr. Brightside, where people would call in and tell him something terrible, and he would have to tell them the bright side of it. And it's just a quick little skit, and I was like, why don't I make that my whole podcast? And then I can use my psychology degree.
I did not know that's how it started.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And so it's cognitive behavioral therapy is sort of that technique. And it's just thinking about positive thinking about something that maybe isn't with a positive attitude or just the bright side of it or whatever. Like we talked about the bright side of losing.
Absolutely. Now, how would you do this? I stopped at the gas station on the way here from the shoot, and I walked in, paid, and the guy was very sad behind the counter. He was on his phone, and definitely foreign. And I said, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Yeah." And I go, "No, what? Are you okay?" And he goes, and he started to cry. Aww. His wife she's dying of cancer. He's working at the mobile station. His wife's dying of cancer, and I just sat and talked to him for a few minutes. And I did my very best to say I'm thinking about him. He's in my thoughts and prayers, and how would you, with your psychology degree and Mrs. Brightside and your humor and your personality, what would you say to this person?
Wow. What's interesting is the guy who put me on the mic last night, he had just lost his boyfriend a few months ago to cancer.
Oh my goodness.
And but the funny thing is, and literally, he was making jokes about it because he's
Wow.
like, you know what, it sucks, but what else are you gonna do?
Sure.
So maybe tell this guy, write these down, write down your thoughts, make them funny. Maybe
Sure.
he's got a career in stand-up, because being a clerk, I mean, that's one of my favorite movies is Clerks. I mean, he might have something, bright to say. I mean, because that is one of those things that it is hard to find the bright side.
Absolutely.
Because
and
death is final, but it is
Right.
one of those things that at least you probably have all these memories and things, and you can make light of it. I mean, when my grandpa died, my brother was tucking in his shirt and like struggling with it, and my mom goes, here, just unbuckle your pants, and he just goes, Mom, now's not the time.
Oh my goodness.
And then we
fabulous.
all
And your grandpa probably would have laughed
Yeah.
if he'd been alive. That's perfect.
Oh, yeah.
That's perfect. And people can get offended by that, but
Yeah.
comedy's offensive anyway. That's the beauty of
Yeah.
it. And who's to say that the way someone handles something is... I handle a lot of things with humor. I mean, they can be very dark, but
Yeah.
I make fun of it too, and it just helps me. So that's cool. And then, so besides Mrs. Brightside, and why I'm wearing this shirt today,
Yeah.
your other podcast is... Can you tell us about that, please?
Yeah, it's called Dead Inside. Apparently I love sides. What did I say? I'd start the side chick, too. Will be the next podcast. But yeah, like, it started out as the Red Room, which you can kind of see, my set's still here. But yeah, it was just... The Red Room, your horror news source, was, like, horror news and things. But I'm like, I don't want to be the news. Like,
Sure.
So I sort of took my love of horror and changed it into more just a comedy podcast with my comedy partner, Jacqueline Pissarro.
Sure.
And we just talk it like this week we did Disneyland deaths. So it can be like real, like we keep real stuff like the Scott Peterson episode.
Sure.
Don't at me, guys. I just threw a theory out there. But yeah, like the Disneyland deaths is just something that she was making jokes about in one of her sets, and I was like, let's talk about that. So we looked up all the people that had died at Disneyland. So these things just come from real stories. Like I know there's a fellow comedian who his dad was David Berkowitz, best friend growing up, and so we're gonna have him on to talk about
phenomenal.
Like good old David. Like,
I've got a lot of people to refer you to as well, and that's why we're in this set today. Is because this is her Red Room set. And as you can see, it's very horror-esque with the red. And by the way, can I just plug her skills? Besides being an actor, comedian, writer, hilarious, all-around radio personality, and podcast woman, she is Martha Stewart who listens to Black Sabbath and Pantera. I love it. So you've got, every time I come here, there's some Hobby Lobby receipt with a wreath, and she's very crafty. But it's also, again, another skill to have in your arsenal for film and television. She could make her own set. She made her own set. Other people have to pay for it or outsource. So, again, the moral of the story is just keep pushing. Money, dick, power, clearly.
Exactly.
So, anyway, so Lacretia, how can we find you on social media? And also, before that, what do you have coming up?
Oh, for me, I've got a few comedy shows. I've got Flappers in Burbank. I'll be there on Saturday, 8/11 at 9:30 p.m. in the Yoo-Hoo Room for the Speakeasy Showcase. Yes, this is my fancy sign here.
Very
and
cute.
then on 8/12 the next day, that's Sunday night at 9 p.m., I'll be doing Good Vibes in the Complex Theater.
I wrote this side.
Yeah, I know.
That's the skill that I have.
Yeah, I do my Valley Girl open mic at 4041 Radford. Right now it's on Mondays, sign-ups at 7. And shows at 7:30, but we may be doing a brunch mic as well. Sundays 12 to 2 coming up in the next few weeks once our schedules get settled down.
That's amazing.
Like, who doesn't want to have mimosas and hear people make
Absolutely.
jokes?
And by the way, if anyone's in catering or any kind of craft services, Lacretia needs someone to barter and maybe sell their product while they're doing the brunch, so you can kind of cross promote.
Yeah.
And also, Ms. Lacretia Lyon, how can we find you on all social media networks?
You guys can always find me at LACRETIALYON anywhere on the internet, since there is only one. And yes, I've said that 1,000 times.
And your podcast would be on?
Yeah, Mrs. Brightside and Dead Inside have new episodes every Tuesday. They're on all podcast platforms. Apple Podcasts, iHeartMedia, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, even Stitcher, I think, yeah.
Wonderful. And we're going to be cross-promoting this with her recent show that we did together on the bright side of working in the NFL and working in Hollywood, and also just turning your frown upside down when things get tough in Hollywood or in life, in your career, everything. So, Lacretia, thank you so much. I loved being in your Red Room, and I loved being able to...
I know, my Twin Peaks
wear,
studio here.
Usually I'm usually in dresses and heels, and I got to be totally cool and tomboy with Lacretia. Thank you very much. Awesome. Thank you so much. How was that?
That was good.
It felt good? Okay. Well, again, you're so easy. It's not even hard.
I know, and I can just, like, I can go on a long tangent, so I'm like, oh, I don't know how long it's supposed to be, because I can rob